you're enough wherever you are, like in the moment, even if you feel like shitty or depressed.
And we're rolling.
Welcome back to BACKSLIDERS the podcast. Today we're here with our friend. He and Micah go way back. His name is Forest VanDyke. He's an actor, a singer, performer, a writer, a teaching artist, and a creator now in Austin, Texas. He's also a featured artist on the new Grammy-Nominated album Dialogues on Race by Gregg August, which is so cool. Like we said, he's our friend, and he went to school at Texas State, our alma mater, and he lived in Brooklyn for the past 12 years. And here we are with Forrest. Hello.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
It's exciting to finally see your face again.
It's been 2018, but it feels longer than that.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, but what's time anymore, right?
What is time? And it was just for that one night. No, that's what it was. It was 2 nights because it was your showing, but then we also saw Tig Notaro.
Oh yeah,
That's right. I was like, I know we went to 2 bars. One was like with a big group of people, and the other one was just like you.
I think Oscar was there.
Oscar, yeah. And
I
Oscar.
forgot.
Oscar.
Yeah, you got to go to Tig. That was so cool.
That was a good show.
Oh, I have to say, okay, maybe I haven't seen a lot of stand-up, but like that was very awesome and just seamless. And then she brought out the Indigo Girls.
Yeah.
It turned into a show.
And turned into a show. I mean, because she kept teasing it the whole time.
You thought it was going to be not real. You're like,
yeah.
She did that good.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Her weirdness really works for her.
Well, she's a great storyteller. And then, like, I'd never been to a live show of hers. I'm sure she doesn't always have a live band.
No, I doubt it. I doubt she always
was a
has
special
a live
night.
band.
Who knows?
What was that
Her
venue?
show
What was that
wants.
venue? It was like a famous
Carnegie
venue.
Hall.
Carnegie Hall. Have you seen other shows there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I performed there.
Oh, what? See, come on. Now you're holding out.
Dang. I didn't
Of course,
know.
a Grammy-nominated singer, artist
Come on.
has sung there. What was that like?
That was it was fun, but I was so young that I don't think I registered how like important it was or how like what a big deal it was. I was in the American Boy Choir School for my 7th and 8th grade years, and so it's a school. It was a school. It's now defunct because they lost money, but it was a school in New Jersey where we did classes during the day. We stayed in dorms, and then we had rehearsals. And we record or we go on tour, like we got to go to Europe and stuff like that. But my first year there, the first gig we did, I think it was for Armina Barana. And they said it was going to be at Carnegie Hall. And I didn't even know what the hell it was. I'm this little black kid from Texas. So we did it there, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was cool. I didn't know the significance till I was older.
Yeah. I didn't even know you spent time in New Jersey. To be honest with you, I thought you were Texas your whole life.
Yeah, I went to school at St. Paul Lutheran. And then I went to the Austin Children's Choir, and I was in there for like 2 years. And while I was in the Austin Children's Choir, the American Boy Choir School came down and we're going to have a concert in Austin. They invited the Austin Children's Choir to come and sing with them. And afterwards they had auditions for boys to come and audition. And I didn't tell my parents that I was going to go on an audition. I just like went into the back room and sang for them. And I told my mom and dad afterwards, yo, I auditioned. They were like, oh, that's great, honey. And then my mom said, what she says is like 2 weeks later, they hit her up and they were like, hey, so your son auditioned. We'd like for him to come and move to New Jersey. And she was like, wait, what?
Oh my gosh.
And then it was in the middle of my 6th grade year. So she was like, no, we're going to wait until his 7th grade year. But even then they had pushback from like friends and family who was saying, you can't send him away. He's too young, blah, blah, blah. And then of course there was the money issue because it wasn't free. And so luckily I got a chance to go. And I'm forever thankful for that because I got to see places I never thought I'd see and do things I never thought I'd do, and that was a 2-year stint of like some of the best times of my life. Then it was back to normal. Like, so I came back to Austin and went to Hyde Park Baptist High School for 4 years and then to Texas State.
Wow, that's so much history I didn't know. So it was like a dormitory school, like in 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah. So it was like the school was in a mansion in Princeton, New Jersey, and it like opened up. I can remember we drove into the school on my first day there, where I got dropped off with my parents, and they took us on a tour. But like the gates opened up onto this huge green front lawn area, and it was this huge mansion, and they had a full back lawn area where you could run around and wander around. They had a soccer field, and like I'd never seen anything like this before. This was all freaky and new. And then they had dormitories for us, and it's separated by age group. And we slept there at night, and we had like pizza parties on Fridays, or we all watched movies, or we all like read Harry Potter. This is when Harry Potter was starting to come out.
I was just about to say, you were living Harry Potter lifestyle.
I was kind of like Harry Potter. It's kind of weird. And then we'd get there and we'd have breakfast, and then we'd go and do a first set of rehearsals, because we were always rehearsing for a concert or something, and we'd learn solfege then after that, and then we'd go into regular classes, and then we'd have dinner, and then we'd have a study hall, and then maybe another rehearsal.
Wow.
And then bedtime.
And were kids from all over?
Yeah. We had a kid from France. We had Canadians. We had Africans. We had kids from all over the U.S.
They just scouted and just like tried to gather some of the best young male singers they could find.
Do you feel like that really kind of like shaped what your future became? Like that experience at such a young age?
Yeah, in a way. I think I really grew to love music more.
Yeah.
And I grew to appreciate like the gift I had. I just kind of always sang, but I guess I didn't know the gift that it was. And I also, let's be honest, so it was an all boys school. I think I had an awakening. I always knew I was gay, but like being around a whole bunch of dudes and like we're showering and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm gay. Like I remember this one guy who was like very, very cool, very nice.
I'm learning so much.
Is it too much?
No,
I didn't know, Forrest. I just didn't.
So I can remember like he showed me to his dorm room. And he was like, dude, let me show you this, because he was trying to like. I was new and I was homesick. He was like, dude, I got you. So he took me into his room and he pulled out like this porno magazine out of like from the bottom of his bunk. He was like, look at this, man. Look at this girl. And I was like, oh, God, I don't know how to tell him.
What will God think? That's a good move, right? That's a good move in that situation.
And also, I just don't like that, you know?
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. Yeah.
Was it a Christian like choir? No, it just happened.
No.
But
no, we sang a lot of Christian music, but there was no religious basis surrounding the school, which is really different from being at a Lutheran school before that and then going to a Baptist school after that.
Yeah. So what denomination were your parents? Like you went to these different schools, but what did your family believe?
I grew up African-American Baptist.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. Yeah. And I grew up at Baptist Church. That's where I went for all my life. And my dad was a deacon. My mom was a deaconess. Like very devout. Still truly believe in God. And sang in the choir. You know, I was in children's choir. I was a youth usher, and I became like president of the youth ushers at church. They used to call me Preacher Man because I thought I was going to be a preacher.
Did you ever think?
No. I might have entertained it because that's what I maybe wanted to please them. You know what I mean? But I just couldn't see myself doing it. Like maybe I could sing in the choir for a long time, but no, I could never preach. It's just too much.
Yeah, a lot to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, knowing I was gay too was also just like a head trip for me because I couldn't really be myself, really, like at school or church. I didn't know who that was. So, but I knew that I could be a certain way, whatever the presentation was, and it'd be okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So or I don't know if you have like a specific moment, but where did you first start to feel like safe enough to be yourself?
Texas State.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I can remember.
Theater away from home.
Yeah.
That...
Well, we were in what was the cafeteria? Not oh god. Do you remember the names of places?
No.
At Texas State. Either
Blanco.
Of you? Anyway,
was there a Blanco in there?
What's the name of the river?
San Marcos River.
We're potheads a little bit, but
hey, speak for yourself. Come out.
Yo, so anyway, I think it was like the first week, and we were all sitting in one of the cafeterias, all the theater kids, and we were having a discussion about something, and one of the girls was like, "So blah 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 blah. Oh wait, are you gay or straight?" And I was like, "Now's the time. Now's the time." I was like, "I'm gay." She was like, "Okay, great." And then she went on with the story. I was like, "Oh my god." I had a sense that I could be myself, but it wasn't until that moment I was like, "Oh my gosh, no one gives a fuck." This is so freeing. I was like, "Oh, great! I can just do without the representative, and just sort of show up as myself, even though I really didn't know who that was yet."
So, did that feel like a moment that you expressed it in a public place for the first time?
That was the first time,
even to close friends or family.
Sorry, that was the first time outside of family. So I had come out to my parents. Oh shit. No, that was the first time in public.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
Whoa.
That was the first time in public now. Yeah. So I...
that makes sense.
That was freshman year. Right.
Texas high school is not a place to come out. I don't think so.
No, I'm especially not a Baptist high school. We'd have chapel on Wednesdays, and, we'd have people, the very speakers come in who were not associated with the school, but were guests obviously. And like one guy, I remember him having a cross shaved into the back of his head, and was the whole sermon was about abortion and how he was a product of, I think it was product of rape, and how he thought if abortion was around, he wouldn't be here, and all that kind of stuff. And not that he shouldn't have his point of view, is very alienating. And then we'd have other times where it'd be a beautiful service, but then you'd have a chapel where the principal would get up and separate folks into believers and non-believers. Like we had people of all various backgrounds there, people who were Muslim, who happened to just go there because they wanted a good education. And, that was kind of, go ahead.
What was the move for the separation? To just be like, we're different, get used to
it? That's a good question.
It's a strange tactic.
Do you remember
and he wanted them to look around and see, the people that are non-believers, blah, blah, blah. We need to help them. I guess that was the motivation, like help them get on board. Like we need to save everybody. It's just like, oh my gosh.
And surely
I can't say like, I didn't have a horrible experience there. In general, I got to be in theater productions and thrive, and I made great friends there. But there were those instances, since we're talking about religion, and spirituality, that were disturbing and felt disjointed and not correct. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It felt spoiled. It felt defiled.
Yeah.
To me.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from what you knew divinity to be to you?
Or
I don't know. I'm speaking more for your perspective of divinity at the time. I don't know if I had a very deep experience with divinity at that age.
Well, I just couldn't understand. I just didn't understand need for separation. Like, I couldn't make the connection between what you were preaching and the way you've made people feel in your actions. And like we had a Bible class where we talked about abortion and murder, and there's also a separation there between students who believed that I think it was abortion again. Abortion was okay, and you sat on this side, and abortion was not okay. And then you had to go into the Bible and find and support your argument. And of course, there's nothing in the Bible specifically that talks about abortion.
I have actually recently heard that there might be.
Is there?
There is a recipe for a natural abortion in the Bible.
What?
Yeah.
So perhaps it supports abortion?
I mean, it supported a whole lot of other killing.
This was the argument, yes. This was the argument that somebody was saying. They were like, actually, and I don't know the actual verse.
Well, we gotta Google it.
I saw a woman say, like, actually, there's a recipe for abortion at this location. And I would say it was for an extreme, like, instance. It was like, if a man thinks his wife has cheated on him, then he should send her to the priest, and the priest should give her this
root
and abort the baby. You know, and it was like, it made it even like weirder in a sense. Like,
wow.
Yeah. I wish I'd had that verse that day. But like, look.
Oh, there would have been an apologetic for it, I'm sure.
Well, I'm kind of confused because this is at a Baptist school.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I just thought the abortion thing was way more Catholic.
No.
I didn't know it. I mean, clearly I see where we are now, but this was like your high school. I didn't know at that point. I don't know when all of Christianity became anti-abortion.
I think they kind of always have been.
I feel like they always have been.
But it did.
I mean,
it did get
you either
politicized.
don't talk about it. You either don't talk about it, or it's like very vehemently, you don't do this. This is murder. I think. I mean, that's my perception.
Wow. I don't know if we've ever talked about abortion on the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Look at us. Some hot,
getting real deep
topics.
Not even topics I can speak authoritatively on.
I just personally think like Jesus, like I know I can't speak for him, but
sure you can.
In my
a lot
mind,
of people do.
He's an example of radical love for those in need. And when I think of those in need, I think of those that are actually in need currently, have a life, are here, need food, need shelter, need protection, need love, need safety. So I feel like we should be focusing on that before we're focusing on something else. But, you know...
I'm resisting my angry Christian voice right now.
I know. I mean, and I know I can almost feel, you know, I don't know who listens to this, but some listeners are not going to agree, and it's very uncomfortable, but...
With what you just said, they're not going to agree with what you just said?
Probably.
Sure.
Oh.
Sure.
Sure.
Well, you know.
I think there will be a lot of people that do agree, but...
Yeah.
What's interesting, I don't know if this is interesting about me, but my experience, my parents were very staunch Christians, very biblical, Bible-believing, researching, Greek and Hebrew studying Christians, concordance-type Christians. And my parents were pro-choice, 100% day one, unwavering.
Wow.
But
I would say that the caveat might be that they were in a environment, in a ministry where leadership and men in authority were taking advantage of women and might be encouraging abortion to their advantage. So there could be an argument that what they learned and what I learned was based on a man's, I need to get rid of this problem. So,
whoa,
a lot there.
But I've it's never been an issue for me, other than when I would attend my friends' churches and they would be like, "Oh no, like abortion's horrible," and be like, "My mom thinks it's great." Not great, but
right,
just not
He's okay with it.
My parents were very comfortable just saying, like, it's, you know, it's not our choice. Like, it's whoever's choice that is not mine.
See, that's it. That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, I remember in this school, a girl, we were in computer class, and she was sitting next to me, and she asked me what my views were on abortion. I don't know why this keeps getting brought up at this school, but her mother,
Voting.
God bless her mother told her that, she might have not been here. And she was like, you're okay with having babies aborted? I said, well, if I got a girl pregnant, but if I did, I would encourage her to have, and I would try to support as best as I could. She's saying, so your kid is more important than any other kid. I'm like, no, I just don't want to tell. I don't have the right, especially because I don't have any ovaries. I'm not going to tell. I don't want to tell a woman what to do with her body, because I don't want anyone to tell me what I'm supposed to do with mine.
Mm-hmm.
Stay out of my business. I'm gonna stay out of yours.
Preach.
You know what I mean? Like,
The Bible tells me not to spill my seed, but I do.
right, right.
I'm sure it's just you, Micah. I'm sure it's just you. You're the only one.
I've spilled it. I've spilled it a couple times.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, as a woman, my mom, first of all, and I grew up Catholic. She raised me Catholic, and then I got involved in like an Assemblies of God church when I was in high school. Worship team, that whole thing.
Oh,
it's like
Well,
Pentecostal.
I've never heard of that.
They speak in tongues, but think like big
they
mega
assemble.
church, and we assemble. Like we had like the lights, camera, action, like the whole big show, coffee shop, money.
Mega church?
Yeah, not like Joel Osteen,
Like a
mega,
small town Hillsong, you know what I mean?
but like it was in Red
Okay.
Oak, and you could like see it from the highway. Anyway, I'm not trying to hype it up. I had a terrible experience there, actually, but I
Would not recommend.
would not
Okay.
recommend. But my mom has always been very anti-abortion, and she's very Catholic, and she's definitely disappointed that me and one of my sisters are more progressive in our views. But I actually don't think that's a caveat I want to make. But I will say, no, I know what I'm saying. Okay, as a woman who's also a survivor of sexual abuse, there's something that's just so tone deaf about hearing men in general, but especially men in positions of leadership or power or government who don't have a female body and will never have the experience of literally something happening to your body that you're not in control of. I know if I had like a pregnancy had resulted from abuse or a rape, like I wouldn't want to, along with dealing with that trauma, also deal with a child that I was not ready to have, nor willing. But also there's the medical side where sometimes a pregnancy can compromise a woman's life. And what if she already has kids and you're asking her to not even seek help because your view is that like all abortion is illegal? Like and even if she didn't have a kid, we're here. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, we're
getting deep.
I've never, but
I'm with you.
yeah,
I'm with you.
just like some of the stances that fundamental Christianity in this country has taken is just really, it's kind of appalling to see where it's led.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very I think a lot of maybe my rub with Christian leadership authority is the idea that man is speaking for God so often that I just can't get on board with it. And maybe it's because I've seen a man be held in that regard, but then also seen the behind the scenes of him just being a flawed man. And it wasn't that I thought that he was a hypocrite. It was that I thought that like no one should be listening to him for God. You know what I'm saying? Like no man should be representing God in the sense of, hey, listen to me above yourself. Because I think that, you know, if and when I'm wrapping my head around the belief in God, I think that that's a personal thing between me and God. It has nothing to do with me and the guy who's standing in for God. I'm gonna like fail miserably if I'm like trying to filter God through somebody else, because they're gonna fail.
Preach. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I remember you talking very briefly in college, maybe here and there, about how your dad was a pastor. And I always wondered what that was like. I did always wonder, like, what is that? I wonder what that life is like. And I heard a snippet of it on your show, some of your episodes. And wow, that's a lot.
What is
being a PK?
What is a deacon? I guess in my mind, and maybe I'm just totally ignorant on this, but I thought a deacon was like a pastor.
No, well, at least not in the Baptist churches I've been in. So we have reverends, we have like the reverend, and then we have reverends under him, associate pastors, and then there are deacons and deaconesses. So like, they run certain programs or whatnot in the church, but also, like, to be honest, like the most I saw them do was like handle communion, so they'd pass out the bread and the wine or grape juice and sit up front.
Was it somewhat like
leadership?
Yeah, was
part
it
of it?
Like they were respected
yes,
people in the community. They've been here a while. We know who they are. They represent us well. They're like ambassadors.
They're ambassadors. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, you have to go through, there's a vetting process before you are approved by the head pastor to be a deacon. So, you have to be of a certain moral character. I guess you have to have signed up for certain things. You have to agree to help the church in some way. You know what I mean? You have to be a part of the fabric of the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my dad was very involved in trying to raise money for parking lots that we wanted to build to expand the church, or he was I accompanied him to like the church pantry every Saturday, so that was part of my public service stuff for like in high school to check off for college, so I helped out at the pantry. It was great, but he wanted to go there, like he wanted to
give back,
outreach, and give back. And several other deacons were there too. So that's part of their work. I think, if you think of reverends, I guess they were helping the pastor and also getting sermons together if it was their turn to preach or also to pray. But then the deacons were doing like the legwork. Is the way it seemed to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the son.
And deaconess is the same.
Yeah.
It's a big church. How many people would attend?
God. I don't.
You don't know numbers?
I honestly don't know, because when at its height, maybe like 400.
Okay.
500.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
that's like our stage at Texas State.
Yeah, exactly.
That was 400.
Yeah.
I think that was our 400 stage.
Yeah, and then once I started to go to college, then it started to the attendance started to dwindle. I would notice, because I would still go back on Sundays to go and like sing in the choir when we were in college, and there were fewer and fewer people there. And I think part of that is because they stopped doing outreach and stopped appealing to younger folks and speaking to them in the way that they needed to be spoken to and understood.
Was that a choice? Do you think they really stopped doing something, or do you think that the younger generation stopped feeling like they needed to be there?
There was a change in leadership from the head pastor. So I think it was maybe a combination of both. He was more concerned with just preaching and not doing the other, or not doling out the duties to do these other things for outreach. And encouraging young people. And then I think, I heard you talk about this on one of your podcasts too, like our generation's kind of become disillusioned. Like you see behind the facade and you see certain things, you're like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I think kids were starting to see that, or they'd be drawn to another church. A lot of them left and went to other churches that were like speaking to them on their level in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to try to take it back to, so now you told us about this moment at Texas State where you came out publicly, but it like wasn't a big moment to this person that you were talking to. She was just like a girl who was like, okay, anyway, let me go on with my story. So then after that, you had a conversation with your parents, or what was the timeline where you felt like you could be comfortable enough to like tell them your truth?
So that was freshman year when I first came out to the girl at Texas State. And then it was between sophomore and junior year, the summer before junior year, where I had been away and I had talked to this person and they were like, have you told your parents? I was like, no, I don't think I ever will. He said, well, why don't you give them the chance to make that decision for themselves? Like, give them a chance to know all of you and make their own decision. I was like, okay. So I came back home and the first person I hit up was my brother. And I told him, I need to tell you guys something. Can I come over? And I went over and saw him and his wife. And like we had dinner. And I had never gone over there. You know what I mean? Like, I'll talk to you on the phone, brother. And so like we sat down and we were having dinner and she was like, so I was wondering why you're here. And I was like,
do you need money? I know college is hard.
They were like, well, we're happy you're here, but what's going on? And I said, I just have something to tell you. And I said, I'm gay. And I just wanted to be open. And she was like, well, we love you. I told your brother that I thought you were gay. I was like, oh.
What? What do you mean?
And he said, yeah, I just didn't think you were, but like, we love you. He's like, just don't, I won't say that part. I don't want people to hate my brother, but he was like, I love you no matter what. Do you want me to be there when you tell mom and dad? I was like, yeah, I'm going to tell them. I think that was like a Thursday and I was going to tell them on Saturday. I was like, I'm going to tell them in 2 days and I would love for you to come by. And so I remember being in the living room with my parents on Saturday, and my brother shows up unexpectedly. They're like, Charles is here. What's you doing here? And so we went into the living room and like we all sat down and I muted the TV and my parents are like, what's going on here? And I said, there's been something I've been wanting to tell you all for a long time that I know about myself and it's not a phase. And I said, I'm gay. And I know that I have been for a while. And it was like silent. It was silent for the longest time. And my dad spoke first and he said, we're disappointed, but we love you. And he said, we don't think it's a good idea that you talk about this to anyone in the family or like any people in church. And he said, we're disappointed, but we love you. And he said, Yvonne, do you have anything to say? And he was just looking down. And she finally looked up and she said, I think it was a year ago today, my dad died. And today I learned that my son is gay. He's like, I'll never forget this date as long as I live. And that was the most she could say right then. And then my brother, he said, I love you, Forrest. And, I know this is probably a shock. And he talked about, I don't know how much I should say. Anyway, he was very supportive. I won't say everything. He was very supportive. And it was very weird for like a week. And I remember that night, my mom and dad went to the grocery store for like 4 hours. They're like, when I go to the grocery store. And it was like nighttime when they came. Right. It was nighttime when they came back and my mom was sobbing, but she came into my room and like she hugged me. She said, I love you. I love you. I love you so much. It was weird for like a week. We didn't talk very much. And then it was like nothing ever happened.
Wow.
And so it was back to having the same relationship with him as I did before. And but I just never talked about it again.
What did you believe about God through this process? I mean, I guess we're kind of talking about your life. You were in church, you observed like, oh, I don't feel like I can fully be myself because I'm different than how, I don't know exactly what your church said, if they preached directly on homosexuality or whatever, but you felt unwelcome in that, and then having this experience in theater and then with your family. What was your relationship, if any, to the divine?
I really did love God. And I still do. Like I can remember being in my room and like just like bursting into tears because I was so grateful to God. Like I remember just thinking about the majesty and beauty and like everything he gave me, you know. I was just like so thankful to him, to her, to it. And but I also learned what gay was in church. And that I think the preacher maybe preached on it once, like Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. But I remember being in children's church, and there was this kid who was being bullied in children's church by another kid. He was like, "Oh yeah, you gay, blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh, is he? What's gay?" And he said, "That's when like a dude likes another dude." And from the way he said it and the way he was teasing this other kid, I realized that was not a good thing. And I also understood that that's what I was.
Oh, wow.
But I knew I could never let that out. Otherwise, I'd be that kid. And I don't know. I knew God loved me, but I there was a disconnect there. I was like, can he love me as I am? Like with me liking guys? And if I do, why am I like this? Do you know what I mean? Because I kept hearing that it was incorrect, that it was wrong, that it was an abomination, or that it was like part of the dark side. That's what that was the term in my house. But I also never had any girlfriends. I never had a girlfriend. I maybe kissed a girl once because I always knew somewhere deep inside that this is who I really was. And I couldn't pretend. I just could not bring myself to do it. And I can remember being in that Baptist school in the locker room, and the assistant principal's daughter, who I never spoke to, we were in there alone. And it was very rare for that place to be empty. But she stopped me. She said, "Forrest, I just have to tell you something." I was like, "What?" She's like, "You're like a present waiting to be opened." And like my heart like opened up, you know what I mean? I was like, "Oh my God." I that sentence has kept coming back to me over my life because I think I'm still opening to who I really am. And there's no mistake in what God made.
That's awesome.
Wow. That's really powerful.
I'm glad she said that.
Yeah.
Right? It could have been like, "Forrest, are you a..." No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I think your story touches on something that's like so universal, and you know, whether it's this experience of not feeling like in the religious community or familial experience that we're born into, we can be ourselves, whether that's because of our sexuality or what personality, what we want to do with our lifestyles, whatever. But it's so unfortunate when that happens, when people are claiming to represent God, because at least when you're a child and you can't process and think for yourself and, you know, delineate like how the logic doesn't add up, if there's unconditional love yet conditions, and I didn't choose this yet I'm being punished for it because it's a sin that I didn't choose. It's so unfortunate that happens, because it's abusive in so many different ways, because you're not only hurting human beings who are worthy of love and respect and safety to be themselves, but also separating them from God. And I'm just so glad that you also had forces of love and people in your life who still were able to like let you start to unlock yourself.
Yeah. It was a blessing. And then I mean, I also had cousins who were my dad's side of the family is like very like open and liberal. So like, I told my cousin, I actually, I was on the phone with her in my car on the way to Kyle to talk to my brother about being gay. And I told her, so maybe actually she was the first one I told. And like, but the reason I don't remember is because it was so uneventful, because I told her, I was like, I have to tell you something. I'm gay. She was like, oh, and the sky's blue. What you going to tell me? What, you called me to tell me that? Get off the phone. You know what I mean? Like, so she knew, and, her mom knew. And so I just had people who were in my corner and asking me like when I'm going to get a boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like they were like cheerleaders, and actively so. And so I did have so many supportive people in my life. And Texas State was a big reason why I was able to be myself too. You know?
Yeah.
It's so important to step into environments that aren't like separating people into groups or labeling people, and are just like, what can we make together? Because like that's what life is about. And unfortunately, like religion does make people label people all the time, because I mean, I guess it goes back to like maybe a fear of hell, and like, oh, there's these commandments I have to meet so that I don't burn in hell, and so I've got to like put that on you. But really all it's doing is separating us from just loving and accepting each other. Like we shouldn't have to announce, like you shouldn't have to come out. Like we shouldn't have to like have these moments where like, because our society has like labeled something as normal or the right way, we have to announce that we're different. Like, humanity is just this beautiful collage of people that are unique, and we have so much in common as well. I just want people to stop labeling and separating.
Yeah.
It's human nature though. We're meaning making machines, you know what I mean? Like we have to make something out of nothing. I just don't know. I don't know if it will ever end, which is sort of, I don't know. I guess it is what it is, but I'm so happy to know. I feel like our generation, like millennials, and especially Generation Z.
Oh yeah.
I love them.
Me too.
Oh my God. They're so ahead of the game, and like they are the saviors, people are just people. Treat people with respect.
Yeah.
Treat people well, care about people.
I keep thinking about this was like the question of a show that who's the writer of Transparent?
Soloway.
Well, the question that they came up with for the show was, will you love me if? And I feel like it's a question that is so universal at different points in our lives. And I think about it, whatever religion, whatever God that we were raised to believe in, we're always kind of asking like, will you love me if? And when I was growing up, like the answer was always to me like, yes. So then the confusion was that the people personifying this relationship with a God that, will you love me if, and the answer is always yes, wasn't yes.
Yes, right.
And so,
and why can't it be if the person that you answer to says I'm okay?
Yeah.
Why what gives you the authority to say I'm not okay?
Yeah.
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 And so that's why I did walk away from organized religion, and like putting my spirit, my spirituality, my soul in other people's hands. I think that's dangerous. I mean, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. I have a direct connection with, and God is in me. I don't need some go-between. I don't need an intercessor. And I also, I'm not a Christian now. Oh, this is the first time I'm saying this out loud.
I was gonna ask. I'm glad you're jumping there. I'm interested.
I'm not. I don't consider myself a Christian now, and I walked away from. I think because I saw what I experienced as a gay man, but also then as a Black man, and the history of that book and what it was, how it was used, not just in the U.S. but in Africa, and the power that colonizers used with that book, to oppress people. And I just can't, in good faith, I just can't get behind it. I can't sit there and listen to those things when I know the history behind it, and we don't know what the original words were, because they've been translated and retranslated. And so I actually, over the quarantine, I walked away from everything before quarantine, and I walked away from God. I still believed in God, but I've been reacquainted with him in a different way, and I'm exploring she through African traditional religions, because I also want to be in contact with my ancestors, and I feel like something that's untouched, unspoiled, feels right for me.
Yeah.
So you said you just started like exploring that more during this past year.
Yeah. And I think, well, I know it was, I had been considering it, but then honestly, George Floyd set me off, and I kept watching. And I just want to make myself clear. I have nothing against Christianity. It's just not for me. I just kept watching a lot of the church services. I was like, I can't get behind this, because I know the history, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel right, and like it's for me. And so I reached out. I reached out to a friend who is in alternative religions, and I said, I want to get in contact with my ancestors. I want to know who they were. I want to get back to my roots. And so I started off on that path, which led me to African traditional religions. So I'm exploring several of them, like Ifa, and hoodoo work. There's voodoo as well. But stuff like that, to connect you to spirit in a different way, and also stay connected to God. I've not committed to anything, but I'm exploring those things as options for myself.
Right.
Are there like healers or teachers that you're watching their videos, or are you just reading materials? How are you exploring this? Both.
Yeah. So I have books here. It's also kind of odd, because I'm in my home, and I can't share this with them. You know what I mean?
Do they still are they still going to church on Sundays, or
they're doing virtual service?
Okay.
Yeah. So they do that every Sunday, and they love it. And they have a great new church that they go to that's actually doing outreach, and it's a great Christian Baptist church. But I now, I pray to God in my own way now. I talk to my ancestors. I talk to my spirit guides, and I feel it feels different. I feel like I'm more connected to God now. I'm able to talk to God all the time.
Yeah.
And it feels like I have a direct connection. Like we have an understanding, and we have I don't know. It just feels right. This is how I'm supposed to talk to him, or her, or it, whatever.
Yeah.
If you could say, are there major differences in what this God is to you now that you're communicating with, and the one that was taught to you?
Yes, it feels like a partner.
Wow.
Feels like a partner in creation, because God is in me, and I had been asking for things, but just waiting for it. And I feel like I'm a partner in the creation now. I see my own power through this, and it was waiting for me to do that, and so we could create together to make things happen. And I've seen things manifest.
That's awesome.
We're co-creators.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within.
Yeah. Yes. And so I do believe there's so many things that are correct in Christianity. I think there's distortions, but stuff like that. Yeah. But I think you have to listen to what the meaning is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And understand that Jesus was a radical teacher who was a refugee, who was a brown Palestinian Jew, who was, not European, white, whatever, followed the law, don't have abortions, Jesus that we're being talked to about.
I keep repeating this, I feel like, on different podcasts, but I and it's so like heretic land, but the words of Jesus when he's like saying there's no way to God except through me is, to me, just him being an example of what we should all say. Not like there is no way to God except through him. It's there's no way to God except through me. Do as I say. Do as I say.
And then there's be still and know that I am God. And what's being still? That's meditating. That's, reflection. That's prayer. That's going inward, right?
It's
very interesting. He says we're supposed to be like Jesus. So that just made that was a connection for me. That was an aha moment for me just now, what you just said. Be like Jesus. So that means you can go to the Father through me. Through you, through all of us. Go in. Go in.
Go in.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And I want to just say, like, this reminds me of so much of like my dad's like last, leg of his life, which was so drastically different than how I knew him his whole life, which was just this. My dad, it was like an epiphany to him. Was just this right here. He was like, I spent all my life seeking God, reaching out, looking for God in high places. And then I realized God is right here. He's in me. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to look anywhere but inside. So he would just encourage me, look inside, look inside, look inside.
And we also don't have to do anything, like there's not a certain prayer or a certain object to hold, or like, I think tradition and ritual can be very helpful in establishing like a spiritual practice. There's more like, I wish I had more of a steady practice in my life of meditating. But if you get hung up on, I have to be in this place or, holding this thing, that again is separating yourself from divinity.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We don't have to be in a church building.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
It's probably distracting, actually.
Yeah. Can I ask y'all, because you mentioned this too, Keely.
Yeah.
What is your perception of heaven and hell?
Oh, that's interesting. I do not believe in hell. I think I always had a problem with it, but when I was younger, I think it just was scary. And I, just tried to be good and make sure that like that didn't happen to me. But when I stepped out of church, and especially because I have like some LGBTQ plus family members that came out when I was, a late teenager, which was the same time that I guess now I can say I was deconstructing, because I was leaving my religious environments and starting to question like, well, what do I really believe? So I don't believe in hell because the divinity that I believe in is not a condemning, vengeful, jealous, punishing one. And I don't know what happens after we die, but I think that I believe in divinity and connection with other humans, with art, with nature, with something unexplainable that I don't really have the terminology for, and I can't predict, when I experience divine love or, divine love through humanity or nature. But I can't say that there's like a certain thing that happens when any of us die and that any of us could know it.
How could you?
Right.
I can't say that I know the things that I don't know.
But I do now think that like being outside of Christianity, there's such a freedom in realizing that like all that is true, and all we have any control over is right now and what we do in this present moment, and that there's nothing to try to earn in a lifetime after this. So how much good can I do for myself, for others, for the world, like while I'm here now, because that's all that's true. And I've experienced a lot of like grief these past couple years, like people keep passing away in our lives. And I think that makes me feel I'm thinking about death more, but I'm thinking about it in a way that's like less of a, there's a disconnect and there's a heaven and there's a here, and more of a, what if our energies are here? Like I feel my grandmother or I feel somebody, you know what I mean? Like I can't define it and I'm not willing to, but I'm open to it.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Mike?
I've interestingly never believed in hell. And
Really?
luckily, my parents didn't raise me to believe in hell. Another weird thing of my
Whoa, they were
Christian-
very open-minded, I think.
Yeah.
They did believe in heaven, so there was a consequence. It was just non-existence. The consequence was not life after. It was just lights out. And so it was like hell light, you know what I mean? It wasn't like torture or torment or, Satan gonna whip me or, whatever. It was, I was going to either have eternal life and like praise God and sing with the angels, or I was just gonna go to sleep and never wake up, and I would be buried, and that would be it. So that was how I was raised. I think that now I feel like neither are true, in a sense that if there is life after this, I don't know if the experience is going to be anything like this, like if I'm going to have memory or familial relations that are remembered, like I'm going to recognize something other than maybe a feeling or like maybe family or a loved one. And I think that's just like from different like experiences of like feeling like I'm like in this heaven space, and it's like, oh, in heaven there are no like relationships, and there has actually no separation. It really is just all God. So we're just swirling together as one. And so right now is like the most separate I'll be. And in heaven, you and I will be the same thing.
Guess we'll
Oh,
see.
that. I guess we will. See you there.
See you there. So I think that's where I'm at with heaven. Hell, yeah, I just don't believe that. Yeah, I just don't. I'm definitely a universalist. I liked a movie that we watched maybe 2 years ago called Come Sunday. And it was about a pastor that was kind of coming to terms with this exact feeling. It's a good movie. You should check it out.
Black Pastor?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. You're talking about the, what's his name? The documentary.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I remember it
No,
as a documentary.
It's both. It's a movie. I mean, Jason Segel's in the movie.
Oh, okay. So no.
Oh, I don't
But there was a real pastor, black pastor, who, I think he led the Azusa Festival. But he came out and said, "There's no hell. Hell is here."
He lost his
like
job.
We created. Yeah, he lost his job.
They
Right.
like cardinals. It was like a religion with cardinals, and I remember the cardinals like deemed him a heretic, and then he started like a Universalist church, which is like so Jesus. It's like, Jesus, will you love me if I don't believe in hell? Yes.
You got it. You got it. I got you, man. You're good.
What about you in heaven and hell?
I believe that you hop in one and you hop in the other. No, I was joking.
Left foot out.
Out with your left foot in. It's like going from a sauna to like a cold pool.
Yeah, yeah. It's refreshing.
Good feeling.
Yeah. I don't believe there's a hell. I do believe that we create hell here for ourselves, and I think we're doing a pretty good job
Oh yeah.
right now. Do I believe in heaven? I don't know. I don't know if I believe in heaven. I do believe that I would like to believe that we our spirits go on to some other plane. I don't know if we come back in another form or if we go on to help other people. I would like for that to be the case for myself. I'd like to go on to help other people who are on Earth and like help them figure some shit out.
You know, my dad said that he would have like a conversation with God throughout his life, that he wanted to go to another planet.
Ooh, yeah, nice.
Which is like so like Mormon of him, but I don't even know. I don't know if he really knew much about Mormon religion, but he definitely he wanted to be a leader for God on a new planet.
Wow.
So maybe that's what he's doing. And I think that we've got to be you speak to your ancestors, so you expect them to some degree to speak back to you, or you believe that they're there to do that. Mm-hmm. So where are they? What are
Yeah, if they want to speak back,
yeah,
right.
Sometimes they don't. They may not want to. That's okay.
We've been researching so much about past life. Like
regression,
like kids that have come and remember dying, remember living another life. So there's definitely, I feel like the amount of things that we've seen, the interviews and the things that we've read, that like there's no way I could confidently be like, this is all fraudulent. This is
because it's not only like recorded interviews of like, if you had a child and they remembered like the name of this, fighter jet and like who was the captain
and knew how to fly the jet,
knew how to fly it, and this war, and like you can verify it. Like you really cannot explain how this 4-year-old has this information. But beyond that, our research has also led us to quantum physics, which like there are actual experiments done by quantum physicists that prove like energy exists in two places at once. And if this is true, I mean, that's like a very like simplified version of one of the things I've learned from quantum physics. But if it's true for like atoms and molecules, that's what we're made of. So why would we think that when we die, that just poof disappears? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of we have a lot of questions, and we're studying things that we never would have when we were Christian. And I'm sure we're freaking a lot of people out. But
right now we're totally losing people. But I love it. No, we're probably they're like just leaning in now. I'm going to say something super controversial. I almost feel like Christianity was the first science, in the sense that it was the explanation for the things we didn't know. And then the science today that we know is a little bit deeper, of more concrete explanation of the things that we don't know. And I still think it is so beginner of what humanity may come to know, but definitely nothing compared to what quantum physics at the end of it can explain, or divinity actually is.
Yeah. I don't think Christianity is the first science, because it wasn't the first religion, but maybe religion. I think
that's what I meant, religion.
People turned to religion and created and established religions because we're trying to understand what the hell is happening. What's the moon? Maybe it has something to do with that, like we don't have the internet. So let's just like the moon, the sun, I don't know, the shadows.
It's definitely integrated, like science and religions definitely like crossover with like reading the stars and maps and different mixes of ritualistic smoke and ritualistic drinks. Like it is Elixir land. Like
yeah. Well, astrology is a science. Well, I don't know, but it's part of it's
an
spiritual
attempt
practice,
at it.
But it's an attempt at science, and using the stars in a mathematical way to give explanations for who we are as people and the events that happen in our lives. And also Ifa, if you look at it, like it's very involved in nature. Like it talk, in the cycles of nature and in medicinal herbs that can help you in your life. And so, there's a marriage of the two. And so maybe there is something to what you're talking about. Like, maybe Christianity started out one way and then, it strayed when people who were more interested in power than other people got a hold of it.
Yeah.
The
story of Jesus was a story for the oppressed and has become a tool to oppress or to just stand by while oppression happens. So it's very interesting. Like, how did we get here? You can look at, in America, you can look at our history as a country, but other places.
I don't know why I keep talking about this, but like science has become this like new type of religion in the sense that like it is a thing that is true, but also exists to challenge and disprove until proven. Science is always evolving. We're always learning more things, and we're also always rewriting the thing that we got wrong before. Religion isn't really great at doing that.
Yeah.
But I will say that science is still very demanding of whatever we know right now. You better not defect.
Who? Religion or science?
Science. Science is true until we prove that it's not true, which does still currently happen. And that's like the hardest thing to like, you still have to hold science with an open hand of faith. I was like, I'm going to trust the most information we have right now, but I have to know that tomorrow could change. And we've seen that happen in the last year so much of like trying to evolve with what we're learning, because information is always coming in a world in which we're dealing with a virus that we know so little about.
Yes. And I think, to piggyback off of that, I think science, as opposed to many religions, has the need and the want to contradict it, or to be better, to prove this thing wrong and realize, oh, this is right. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah. I think it wants to grow.
Yeah, it's a experimentation, hypotheses, and testing, and we've
peer reviews,
read about this and talked about this on the podcast a little bit before. That Jesus asked a lot of questions in his teaching, and Rob Bell, or one of the teachers we've read books by, says that like the intent was to spark conversation and questions, not to be this like set in stone, irrefutable, this translation is correct, we have the proof, like this is it, and we have all the answers. No, it was supposed to be a point of conversation and questions and growth and curiosity.
Well, we even see it in the history of the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's like there was the law, and then there was Jesus that came to do away with all these things that we thought we had to do.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe he was right. Maybe he was just a part of the evolution chain.
Hey. Ooh. Okay. So I want to know. So like, so your listeners, like, I'm so interested to see what they're going to say.
I don't know. They probably won't talk to us. We're getting in some good stuff, I feel like, right here.
Yeah.
Though.
I
love this conversation. I don't really get to talk about this kind of stuff with maybe a few people, but I haven't talked about something like this, like in depth, in a long time. This is like refreshing.
It is.
I will say that, Forrest, throughout this conversation, I've been healed so much because I didn't know the journey you have been on in regards to. I've always thought of you as a strong Christian, despite the reasons that I couldn't understand how you held on to your faith so fervently And so to know, okay, Forest is also on a journey similar to mine, makes me feel so less alone in mine.
Yeah. Well, I did wonder, until I listened to some of the podcasts, but like, I was like, are they still, because I know there's questioning, right? But I didn't know if you were still, a devout Christian, Catholic, whatever, specifically because of both of your upbringing, But I do definitely feel less alone. And I think that we are, in terms of our generation, we are not the exception. I feel like this is something that's happening en masse. Because what we were taught just doesn't line up with what we're seeing.
And we have the internet.
And we have the internet.
So we can look it up.
You can't trick me.
We look that shit up. The sky is green. Really? Let me Google this real quick.
I live in your house.
What are your sources?
Right. Yeah, what are the sources? Can you get back to me on that? Yeah. This is, and I thank you for creating an environment where I feel open enough to talk about some of these things for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
So, a lot of people that know me, they're going to listen to this and be like, oh, well, that's what he's on. Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah.
We're just both so grateful to be able to not only catch up with you, but to get to share your voice and your story and your perspective and your work, because we'll share your links and you have such cool stuff going on with, the amount of people that listen to this podcast.
It does feel like it feels like a privilege to be able to have these conversations with people, sometimes with people that we know, sometimes with people that we know very little. But so quickly we get into these conversations that we were encouraged to never have. You know what I mean? But everybody's so hungry to have them.
Yeah. Why do you think it was discouraged, though? Because it's taboo? Because you'll have disagreements? Because...
Yeah, because people... in my environment, my experience, nobody's, even their faith, they're not holding with an open palm. They're clenching and then they're punching. They're
You're like, ow, this is hurting. Punching hurts.
Yeah. They're not like, there's no like a high thinking conversation. It's just like, I must defend what grandfather told me, you son of a bitch.
Right. Well, and the thing is, like, if you know yourself and you know what you know, you don't need to shove it in anybody's face. You just know what you know. Share it if you'd like.
Yeah.
But the other person doesn't have to take that for it to be true, any more true.
Yeah. I'd say that in my family, there's definitely a lot of religiosity. And like, on my dad's side, my dad he was a terrible father. He treated his children really badly, but he's like such a man of Christian faith and will say like, I've made peace with my God, and has, been involved in his Lutheran church's youth group. Meanwhile, he has a relationship with none of his 4 kids. So I think I noticed like that hypocrisy, but then there was also like this pressure to just pretend that we were all like a happy family and to not talk about the things that were going on and to not talk about our experiences, just to not make waves or make people uncomfortable. And that's on my mom's side as well. Like my mom will still say like, we just don't talk about religion and politics. So it's like, there's a fear of hearing an argument or a question that may start to dismantle whatever they've built their identity on, is what it seems like to me.
Yes. That fear of having to find out you don't know something and having to go find out what that means, what you mean.
Yeah.
Who you are.
Or what if you're wrong about something?
What if you're wrong? Well, and if you wrapped some of your identity, maybe most of your identity around that thing, you really do have to find out who you are. And that's the scariest shit in the world. Like reaching out into the dark and figuring out what that is, or reaching inside to the dark and figuring out what that is. I mean, it's terrifying. But I do feel like that's a huge reason why we're here.
Yeah.
That's a huge reason why we're here. And I hope that, many people are using this time in quarantine to do that. I'm trying my best. I'm so not perfect. But like, I feel closer to who I really am right now. At this point, at least in 2021, this version.
Can I ask you, because I'm so curious, like, there's been so much heaviness just collectively that we're navigating, but then your experience, like, as a Black man, as a gay man, like, so much heaviness and all of the things that have happened, not just in the past few years, but like over our nation's history, that a lot of things are like coming back up to the forefront. And how are you spiritually taking care of yourself through this? And I think, it's led you, like you said, to be exploring these African religions. I guess, like, yeah, when you're grieving, when you're sad, when you're really down, what do you turn to?
I was really angry. I was really angry, just tired and angry. And so what I found, I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to turn to my ancestors, because they've been through this. They know this. They have the answers. They have the blueprint. They tell me what to do. God can tell me what to do through them. So what I found out is I need to do what I was put here to do. When I was put here to do was to spread truth and light through my work. So now I'm writing more. I'm writing original stuff, which I like never thought I'd do, like plays and stuff like that. I'm recording more. I'm creating things that are coming out of me, which is what I was put here to do. That's how I affect change. And it was, for me, it was through my spiritual exploration. That's how I found that. So I write about it. I work it into something. And hopefully, other people will see it and have an opening or awakening in themselves too, or see themselves reflected in some way.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe our stories are medicine. I believe that art can heal and, help us begin again. Is this, so you have a one-man show, correct? Or a show?
Yes. Okay, so this is, my one-man show happened like 4 or 5 years ago at the Metropolitan Room in New York City. It's called Breaking Free. And actually, I have to say, so that was, if I think about my timeline, like that was really the beginning of me on my journey to like be myself.
Yeah.
I titled it Breaking Free because I wanted to break out of the boxes that I felt like other people were putting me in, and that I also put myself in, if I'm honest. And so it's a show that's like part stand-up, lots of singing too, and lots of like real talk. I talk about who I am as a Black gay man, and I talk about moving to New York City, and I talk about the ups and downs of a career, and really just knowing who you are through all that. That's what the show's about, and hopefully other people will know that they're enough. You're enough wherever you are, like in the moment, even if you feel like shitty or depressed or anxious, like you're enough right there, and you have something to give right there.
And then you have yourself, and you have
yourself,
your divinity, you have your ancestors with you. So you are, as we're recording this is Thursday, and you are recording a new version of the show this Saturday, the 20. Tell me the date.
Okay, so the show happened 5 years ago. We recorded that session 5 years ago. And it's never been shown. I actually haven't even seen it since then. So I'm hella nervous to like watch myself again because I know I can't go back and like alter things that I'm like, oh shit, I think I messed that up. Or like, I remember there's a portion where I cough, and I make a joke of it anyway. I mean, it's like, it was really fun show. And I think it went over really well. But like in my mind, I just see all the things that went wrong. Anyway, so we recorded that. We're going to show that recording on this Saturday, the 27th, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's it.
Cool. Yeah. And then is it like we're going to watch it, but if we post this after your show has, or people are listening, and is it going to be still available online or right now?
Are we letting them down right now?
Are we letting them down?
You might be letting them down. Doesn't mean like it won't be online at some point. Like maybe I'll upload a song or two.
DM.
But what I would rather do like is like do a whole new version.
Yeah. Like
a remix version that's like 2022 version of me.
Yeah.
A message plus. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With like different songs. It's where I am now.
Yeah. And I'm sure
it's just called Free.
Free.
I have arrived.
I have arrived.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it. And then will you tell people how they can find your the album that you're featured on?
Yes. So it's Gregg August's album. I'm featured on track number 7, but really the whole album is amazing. It's called Dialogues on Race, and it is about having those discussions, those hard discussions about race, and it was based on the Emmett Till situation, and really the event that kicked off the civil rights movement. And you can find it on greggaugust.bandcamp.com, or you can find it on any streaming services as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll share the links.
Please go check it out.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you.
And then will you tell people how they can find you and your work and maybe follow you online if they'd like to?
Yeah, sure. I honestly need to post more stuff. I got to get better about that. But like www.forestvandyke.com is my website. You can find me on Instagram, Forest VanDyke. I think it's at Forest VanDyke. My Twitter is Forest_VanDyke. And you can find me on Facebook, like probably twice a year. Forest VanDyke.
Perfect. Well, I mean, we could talk to you all night, and I'm sure we'll keep talking. But we'll have to record.
It's been really, really good, really in depth. I feel like really thought provoking, and also like heart awakening. Like this has been really good, at least for me.
Yes. No, for me too. I'm not going to let him just take all of it. I mean, Forrest, we love you so much.
Yeah, I've always loved Forrest so much. He just like emotes a feeling of generosity and care. He's a great scene partner. He's a great friend. And I've never been able to spend enough time with Forrest.
Dude, we're in Austin right now, so we got to make something together. It's been too long.
I really like that. I have to talk my parents into like letting me come back, after, because they're just freaked out about,
we'll get back. Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
I'm talking like vaccinated, safe, whenever in the future, but something to look forward to.
I would really love that because I've been wanting to, first of all, just like hang out with y'all again. And like, I'm so happy to see y'all's faces. And the fact that you all have this program to talk about these amazing things like that are so important and not talked about often enough is great. I mean, this space that you've created is beautiful. I'm just so glad I was able to sit here with you all for like the last hour or however long. And you fed my soul too.
Oh, this is such a love fest.
Thank
you. We love you. We can't wait to see you in person. And until then, we'll just do this again.
Okay, I'm down. Look, I ain't do nothing else, Sonny.
First, let's say thank you to our listeners. Thank you guys for listening. We love and appreciate you so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button, put on those notifications, leave a little comment about something, please. It helps us like show up for others. And
Am I doing better with not interrupting?
I don't know. You just interrupted me to do that. So we did get one review. Oh yeah, guys, if you're listening, you're going to get a treat. So we don't have that many reviews. And here's the part where I say it would really help us if you go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review, because then we show up on the algorithm. We have 32 right now, but the 32nd one, the one that's showing up the first, says some nice things and then is like, Micah might need to work on not interrupting his wife. I can tell he loves and cares about her, but he is coming from a little bit of Christianity, toxic masculinity, so maybe he should check it out. And look at him, he's waiting, and it's so hard for him not to interrupt me right now because I'm not stopping to take a breath. So anyways, if you guys could just leave a review and just say how much you love the show, or even if you just say a word, it really helps us, and we love you. And what do you have, Micah?
Are you done?
Yes.
All right, we love you guys.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
No, I'm not saying that it wasn't real. I'm just saying that you made me feel bad. Don't try making me a better deal. I'm done with you and I'm fine with that, and that's that.